So I made an agreement with myself at that point that I wasn't going to win anymore. And then I think ultimately that led to my back being injured.
So you, like, unconsciously sabotaged yourself with one thought that you connected to.
Yeah, and I just didn't want to. I was so worried about people not liking me and not being loved and not being good enough for other people, you know, that I made that decision within myself that, second and third might be better because I'll experience a good day, but no one will hate me for it.
You think it's like a self-worth thing?
I think it's that old Coach Carter saying it's not our darkness that we're
Afraid of.
That we're afraid of. It's our light that scares us. You know, like it's actually going towards that light and fully shining, and then the responsibility all of a sudden pops onto other people to then try to shine themselves, and sometimes they go the effect of that and ultimately get angry at you.
Man, you never think just like allowing yourself to shine could be so difficult sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Maybe I'm too aware.
No way. I think there's like a path to, like, you know, we talked about, there's some people that I talk to and I coach with, and I mentioned this and you'll be able to relate. And I'll tell them, I'm like, what you're about to learn in the programs and the coach with me, is like, you can't unlearn it.
Yeah, no. Like, once you know it, it's like
once you know. And I literally, it's a regular basis. People will coach with me and they say, "Do you think that I like won't learn this? Like, do you think that, you know, my life's different now and how I approach things are different? Do you think this is going to stay?" And I'm like, of course it is. Of course it is. And they're like, "Oh man, sometimes I wish that I just didn't know." And I'm like, welcome to being unplugged from the matrix.
Yeah,
you know?
Bloody hell.
And with that, I think the one way to get out once you start experiencing those things is to learn more.
Yeah,
it's sort of like you're digging a hole to get to the other side. It
doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Once you sort of know what you're aiming for and who you are, and you're sort of aware of your own crap, it's just the beginning. Like, literally.
It's funny you say that.
And you know, when we talk about unplugging from the matrix, I feel like that's not even the moment that you unplug. It's still a fair way away from that point. But you are now aware that you're in the matrix. You know, you're in, and people that aren't listening, that's the simulation theory, that we're in a bit of a simulation here and there's a bit going on, and Elon Musk and plenty of other people that are far smarter than anyone that's listening to this podcast believe that we're more likely than not in a simulation. So it's got a bit of backing there. And yeah, once you can sort of break out of that, you can't go back in and just pretend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So insane. And it's funny with one of the things that you said beforehand. Hang on a minute, I just lost it. What did you say like 3 sentences ago? Before Elon Musk, can you remember?
You can't unknow. I don't know.
Something about you can't unknow. And it's always the start of the journey. When the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell talks about it. He's like, you know, as soon as the hero gets to the end and it's like happily ever after, you know, any story, Shrek, Harry Potter, whatever, happily ever after, end of Harry Potter 1, it's like the journey begins at happily ever after.
Yeah.
You know, sort of Harry Potter 1, then Harry Potter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's sort of like happening for us when people sort of take the you know, self-awareness journey that like never ends. And I think that I quite think that every time someone is stuck ever and they start going down, you know, the slippery slope of, as you mentioned, not feeling good enough, distracting themselves, leading to drugs or alcohol, they're trying to get fit or they're not actually realizing their full potential. They're like, oh, I'm comfortable with this level of finances, success in the relationship that I have. Whenever someone gets to any of those stages, it's like they've just put a pause on their own self-development and self-awareness.
Yeah.
And it's like another moment to just go back in and keep going. And it's like hard to keep going, to keep consistently learn about yourself because you're like, oh, I don't want to.
It's because this is the responsibility thing. It's your responsibility. And it's not, that responsibility grows and grows and grows and gets bigger and bigger. And over time, it only gets bigger. And more things come on your plate, and all of a sudden you're taking responsibility for more than you were the day before, and the next day you'll take responsibility for more. And that's the coolest part about it. And I just want to quickly say, like, with that, the whole simulation thing, and people will say, "What? So Earth's not real. This experience isn't real." 100% it's real. You know, this experience is 100% real. And if I went into what I actually believed about this simulation was, it probably wouldn't make sense to any of you. But I think that this world is real, this Earth is real, and God or the universe and all that sort of stuff is real at the same time too. But there's just a layer of simulation that people are stuck in, and it's more a way of thinking or a sort of it's what we've been sort of taught to know.
Yeah, it's like we've been installed from no fault of anyone else's, just a certain perception. Like people in Bali think completely different to you. Like one of my friends lives over there, and he's like, "Man, so hard to like eat on diet or something or the same thing continuously because you walk into the shops. They're like, hey, like, where are the bananas?" They're like, I don't know. He's like, there you go, stock bananas.
They didn't grow enough.
Yeah. Well, they're just like, oh, we just forgot to order them.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you forget to order them? You know, I buy them every day. Like, oh, we didn't care about making money. Like, we're just here to say hi and hang out. Like, you're a business. You know what I mean? It's completely different. Like, they have like full different perceptions. So it's like, no matter whatever we're thinking is just a perception that we have. Like, I had this perception around myself recently. I've been talking about it a lot, but I had a perception around myself. I'm like, well, my network around me is so good and so powerful that, you know, I've never really had to go and get coaching. For anything, or any like specials, like any sort of special coaching to figure out, like either personal development or business stuff. I've just like learned everything myself, which has been like fantastic in the meantime. But now I'm at this stage right now where it's like, well, there's a lot of things where you don't have the time to do those things, so you have to pay for these things and you have to go get accountable. And it wasn't until I had this opportunity come up to do this crazy like business coaching day with some absolute stud. It's going to cost me like a whole bunch of money for just like one day. And it wasn't until that I like emotionally committed to that, like I'm going to do it. And I was like, man, my ego, my belief system around the whole time, I didn't even know it was there for like a year. I had no idea. It wasn't until a couple people said like, you know, you get a coach. And then it wasn't until I saw my partner, she got a coach, and like she just upgraded a couple of different levels. And I was like, oh man, she's going like way quicker. Like that's sick. Like, you know, why don't I do that too? I was like, what? It's just like this belief that I sort of had. Same thing around, you know, when we talk about it just in terms of your whole daily life. All these perceptions or your routine or the current stuff, it's so easy to get stuck there, eh?
No, 100%. And that's ultimately what we're trying to get out of. And just get like away from is the normalcy of like routine and just being half it's sort of mediocre, you know, like somewhere in the middle of your best and your worst, and some days you're worst and some days you're your best, you know, like try to just be aiming for your best every day.